All right, so Darcy Luoma. I'm sorry I missed this one. I actually did read her book, so I'm actually very interested to hear about your reflection on this pause, think, act piece. Like, what did you think of her whole
Totally.
analysis?
Just make sure to go and review it on Amazon. But yeah, no, I appreciate it because that's definitely something that, like, as we've talked about my own life and like things that I've been trying to bring into my house, professionally and personally. Like, I think it very much aligns with it. So that was kind of exciting to hear somebody else's story of the reasons that they chose to start engaging in that. And shout out, like, I found out there's a float place in Oakland, so I'm definitely going to try that out with some friends. Um, but I think that that's cool, right? This idea of, like, no matter what stage in development you're in, I think the earlier that you can develop a stillness practice, or really this practice of, like, of learning how to respond and not react, right? And I think that that can be applied everywhere. So I love this idea of, like, also applying it to, all the like all the triggers and all the stresses that come up throughout our day, including those, like, really poorly written emails, or meetings that don't go well, or whatever it is.
Right.
And so that way you have it.
Well, I'm really interested in this too because I feel as though, especially in business, of big value is that you react like almost instantaneously. Like you're supposed to be able to get information and react instantaneously in order to be like a top businessman. It's like to make decisions quickly. So this idea that you should actually slow that down, that process down, and react in a like certain period of time is interesting. So like, did she? I don't remember her talking about like the time period that might happen. Are we talking about like seconds, minutes, like?
I mean, I think it depends on the situation, but I
Yeah.
will say that, like, all of it is really so that way you're not in your, what we would call, like, your reptilian brain, right? So
Hmm.
you're not in that place that is just pure instinctive, like, I'm taking in information and I'm immediately just throwing out an answer, right? So you can still do that in a very quick, like, responsive way. I think that the
Hmm.
difference, though, is you've at least given yourself a second, like, you've brought in enough awareness into your body and your mind that whatever you respond with is from a place of strength, and from, like, kind of that much more conscious space that most of our better decisions are from, right? And so
Right.
it's really just kind of like removing that pain point that so many people can have, where they feel like, panic and some of these other sensations that can come into decision making.
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah, it
know
can
in
be
her
quick.
yeah, and I know in her book she talks about like creating that space by either like removing yourself from the situation or like literally physically moving yourself or mentally removing yourself like going into your mind a little bit. So um I was wondering like the techniques to do that. I guess you can just physically do that, but I just I don't know. Maybe it's just practice, so it just takes a lot of practice.
I think it's a lot of practice. It's for you, like, for instance, like, even just like practicing having a breath, like taking the breath when that happens, and then allowing the breath to be kind of that space. I think everyone's got to figure out their own, like, exact version of it. But yeah, I also just want to give away a shout out before we get off on that whole organizational structure piece. Like, I've been using it actually since the interview, and it's actually really helped, to, like, just adding that little bit of buffer time as transition between activities, or tasks, just so that way you can always, like, you just close the loop, and that way it's like done, it's out of your brain, and you move on. And I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I that's a really positive message too because I do that as well. Like I like to separate tasks. Like whatever it is, like I there should be a space between this time that you do another task. You should never just like go right into something else because you're already thinking you've been thinking about whatever it is for so long that it's hard to just switch automatically to, hey, I want to I want to like do this module, but now I need to like do this meeting. So I do a lot of that as well during in combined in my day. So yeah,
Cool. Yeah.
it's a really good practice to do. And I hope all of these things for all of you out there have been helpful. Remember, we hope that you pause, think, act in all of your daily lives and scaffold. And you know, until the next time, we'll be working for you.